Welcome to the Militia Gaming community. I'm Trigger, and this one is all about the 2019 Lamborghini Aventador SVJ Roadster in Need for Speed Heat. Let's go! Alright, real quick before I get into the video, if you're looking for any of my builds, you can find it on my website. It's militiagamingco.com. I have builds for both Need for Speed Heat and Need for Speed Unbound. Depending on what you're looking for, you can find it there. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so the fastest engine for this SVJ Roadster is actually the 903 horsepower 3.8 liter V8 hybrid engine. It ran a 254.8 on Arian, which is actually not bad, and it ran a 238.76 on Sonic. Again, really not bad, especially considering I've taken almost 3 months off of Heat, and so getting back into this game took me a little bit of time to get back to the mechanics of the driving. That being said though, these times are really good. They rank pretty well. Anything under 255 on Arian is up there with some of the fastest cars in the game. Now, it's not the fastest. There are plenty of cars that will run this track in under 250, but this one happens to compete with some of those others that are just not quite like top 5 or top 10. It's right in the middle after that. Say, 20 to 30 or 20 to 40, those ranked cars. This thing handles very nicely, but the key to this track build is actually the steering sensitivity at +5 and the downforce at -5, and then you have to switch your drift style over to brake. That is really important for the way that this thing handles. It loves to grip. It is a grip machine, so you have to be able to break it loose in multiple ways, and that's how you do it with the brake drift style. Let's throw up the build card for the full build. I've got that 903 horsepower engine, Ultimate Plus engine parts, Ultimate dual turbo, and the 5x3 pound NOS with a super track suspension, elite brakes, elite race tires, elite plus clutch, elite 7-speed gearbox, super track differential, NOS refills and duration, and of course steering sensitivity, like I said, 5, downforce -5, traction off, and drift style on gas. All right, moving on to the drag build, and this really isn't its strength. It didn't do very well for drag racing. It ranks about 79 out of 131 cars. It's got a 0 to 60 of 1.83 and a quarter mile of 8.87. So this is really not the right build for drag racing. It does take off the line pretty well, but you can't NOS off the line because it pops a wheelie and you lose traction on those front 2 wheels, and a lot of the power goes through those 2 wheels, so you just end up going nowhere if you use it like that. So you have to wait until it shifts into about 2nd or 3rd, and then you can pop your NOS. But like I said, I don't anticipate anyone using this for drag, but if you do want to, here's my full drag build. It's that same hybrid engine, the same Ultimate Plus parts, Ultimate dual turbo, 1x15 pound NOS, super track suspension, elite brakes, elite drag tires, elite plus clutch, elite 7-speed gearbox, super track differential, NOS refills and duration, steering sensitivity at 5, downforce -5, traction is off, and drift style is on brake. All right, moving on to the drift build, and this is actually where this car feels really nice, but it just doesn't score very nice. So I was able to average about 56,133 for that drift track that's right outside the main racetrack there. This is where I do all of my testing. I usually do a couple of laps on there to warm up, and then I go in there and I take 3 different shots at it and then average it. So the average was 56,000. It just doesn't score very well, but it is very controllable. It reminds me of my other all-wheel drive builds. This one takes exactly that same all-wheel drive build that I start with, and that full build is the same hybrid engine, Ultimate Plus engine parts, dual turbo, 5x3 pound NOS, super showcase suspension, elite brakes, elite drift tires, elite plus clutch, elite 7-speed gearbox. You could drop that down if you want to have a little bit more torque per gear, but it really isn't necessary. Sport drift differential. So the keys to this are the super showcase suspension, the elite drift tires, and the sport drift differential. As long as you have those 3 parts, the rest of the build kind of doesn't matter. I mean, it'll make minor differences, but this will allow you to drift this car. NOS refills and duration, and then of course the same live tuning, which is steering sensitivity at 5, downforce -5, traction off, and drift style on brake. All right, lastly, let's take a look at an off-road build for this car, and this is not a great off-road car. It sort of matches what it did for drag racing. It's ranked around the 80th mark, and it runs a 153.9 on HTV2 and about a 319.6 on Rumble. Both times are just whatever. They're not very good times, but they're not like super bad times either. Like, it's not in the category of a Raptor, but it is just kind of in no man's land. That being said, if you do like this car and you want to drive it off-road, here's my full off-road build. It's that same hybrid engine, Ultimate Plus engine parts, Ultimate dual turbo, and the 5x3 pound NOS, Super Rally suspension, Elite brakes, Elite off-road tires, Elite Plus clutch, Elite 7-speed gearbox, and the Super Rally differential with NOS refills and duration, and of course steering sensitivity again at +5, downforce at -5, traction is off, and drift style is still on brake. And with that, guys, I'm gonna end the video. I really do appreciate everyone's support on this series. It's been amazing. I do actually plan to finish off all of the cars in Need for Speed Heat before it's all said and done, and I'm working on the last, let's say, 25 cars or so. So I'll be doing about one of these cars a week, so you can continue to see some Need for Speed Heat content. I know some of you guys out there do not have Need for Speed Unbound yet, and so this stuff will still be rolling out. It just won't be as quickly as it was. All right, shout out to all the Heat 5 members of the channel. Thank you so much for the support. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.